Great, good afternoon to you, and as always, let me take the opportunity to welcome you to our Wednesday relaunch, an opportunity to enjoy some good food. Grateful to the ladies there for preparing it for us today, and also to just enjoy the opportunity to sit and chat with folk and to have a little bit of nourishment for the soul as well. And if you've been here over the past few weeks, then you'll appreciate what we've been doing on a Wednesday lunchtime is really just a bit of a Q&A. We'll put that on the screen for you. A Q&A, we kind of ask a question and try and provide a little bit of an answer for you. And there we go, the Q&A. That's often the way in which we learn is by simply asking the questions. And most of us have a load of questions about what's going on in the world, what's going on in life, and what's it all about, and so on and so forth. And the Bible is a very practical book. It's geared to answering and addressing just the questions that we do ask. And today I thought that we might look at a question that is quite often asked of me, and that is essentially this. I'm slightly rephrasing it, but the question is, why such a lousy logo? The kind of logo of the Christian church is a cross, and if you know anything about the way in which crosses were used by the Romans, you'll appreciate it's not a pleasant, not a comfortable thing at all. Crucifixion is probably the cruelest form of death that has been invented. And having invented it and discovered it, the Romans applied it in a horrific manner. It was a really wretched thing. I will not spoil your lunch by explaining to you what was involved. Take my word for it. It was a cruel form of death that was very often reserved for criminals. And it's strange to a lot of people why this would be the sign that the Christian church adopts as in essence its logo. Now, logos, we're familiar with them. We'll have a little kind of ease into this one for you. Put up a logo for you here, and you probably will recognize what that is. Yeah, you know who that is? Who's going to? Tall Ships. Everyone says it's Tall Ships. Actually, it's the logo of Sail Training International, which is the organization that's been on the go for, I don't know, some 60 years or so, and they put on the Tall Ships races. But we recognize it, obviously, from the Tall Ships that have been in Aberdeen and just have sailed on out yesterday. So that's the logo, and you can understand it. The logo helps you understand a little bit about the organization, that clearly it's about ships. Some of them are big, some of them are medium-sized, some of them are small, and they're on the move. They sail, and that's the logo kind of communicates that, and that's what logos do. Here's another one that we'll put up for you that's from last week as well. And you know what that's the logo of? Pardon? Yeah, it's the Open Championship, the Open Golf Championship, which finished last week, where Scotty Scheffler won by a country mile, basically. And that's, again, it's the claret jug is part and parcel of the logo, because that's what they're aiming for, that's what they're looking for, the celebration jug, as it were, that they pour out the champagne or whatever. And so they use that. Much more local would be the next logo, my kind of alternative pastoral office here. But I thought I might, since I use it so often, I might just bring that one up. You could all, with your eyes shut, tell me, yeah, shout it out, 1, 2, 3. Starbucks, absolutely right. There we are. That's Starbucks, and that's been on the go. And they use that logo so that wherever you are in the world, you know what you're getting from that particular place, and so on. And we'll put one final logo up here, which I hope you will be able to recognize. You know what that is? It is. It's Gilcomston Church. That's the logo that we use here. And the reason for it is that window up there. We can put that into the picture when we kind of actually give a bit of color to the logo there. You can see how it is developed from that, because that is a distinctive feature of this particular congregation. That window there, people walk along the street, they see the window, and they're able to identify and say, oh yeah, I kind of recognize that. That's Gilcomston Church. So we use that as a logo for ourselves. But behind all of that, the Christian church, by and large, wherever you are in the world, they will use the cross as a logo. And so the next slide brings this up for you. And you can kind of have a look around, and you'll be able to see actually in this building that there are Just that there are crosses in different places that are a reminder to us of who we are. And I thought I'd read you this afternoon just a few verses from Paul's letter to the church at Corinth, where he really underlines that this essentially is what the church, wherever you are, whether it's in Scotland or New Zealand, as these good guys have come from New Zealand all the way to sample our lunch here today, doesn't matter where you are, this is what it is always about. And this is how he puts it. Jews demand signs and Greeks seek wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and folly to Gentiles, but to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God. Now, what he's underlining there as he writes to this church in Corinth, in Greece, way back, is that the focus of all the message of essentially the whole Bible, it's focused upon this person, Jesus, and upon that event where he was crucified on the cross. And that becomes, therefore, the logo, and the focus is simply those two words, Christ crucified. Put them on the screen for you. Christ crucified, that's what Paul was on about. That's what the Bible is on about always, Christ crucified. The focus on this person and that event, and the good question is, why? Why do we focus on that, and why do we use that as the logo? There are 5 good reasons, all of which have to do with the cross here. And we'll run through them very briefly so that you're able to appreciate every time you see that cross, whether it's on a window, whether it's on a building, whether it's on a pulpit or whatever it may be, every time you see that cross, you will know, you will be reminded, that's what it's about. And this is what you need to know, what you need to be assured of, and what you are to discover for yourself. Reason number 1 is that it is a reminder of God's love for us. It is a reminder that there is a God who made this world, who loves this world, and who loved this world so much that he sent his own beloved Son, the Lord Jesus, and sent him that he might do for us what we could never do ourselves, and there are no limits to what that God will do for us in order to secure our truest welfare. Sometimes we just need to be reminded of that because we live in a world that's confusing, a world that's complicated, a world in which we have all sorts of problems and struggles and trials. And bottom line, you need to know. You don't always understand this God. You sometimes be confused and perplexed by this God. But the bottom line is he loves you. And there is no limit to what in his love he will do for you. The cross is a reminder there are no lengths to which he will not go, even death on a cross. That's how low he will stoop in order to meet us in our deepest needs. So it is a reminder always of the love of God. Reason number 2 is that it's a reminder of God's gift to us, not just of his love for us, but his gift to us. And you're wondering what a big kind of tree trunk stretch between these two cliff faces is. It's simply a reminder that God's gift to us in Jesus is essentially a bridge whereby we who are not worthy of God, because all of us have messed up, all of us have gone astray in all sorts of different ways, how on earth do we get right with that God? God has provided a way by coming to provide for us a life that was well lived, and then suffering in our place to bear the consequences of our wrongdoing in the person of Jesus when he died on that cross. And that really is what the cross is all about. That kind of horizontal line that is the bridge across is in answer to the question, how do we down here, earthly creatures who've messed up big time, how do we get right with that God? And the answer the Bible gives is that that's what God has done. He's given us his Son, Jesus, to provide that bridge whereby you and I can get to know God. Reason number 3 that we use the cross as a logo is simply because we are reminded of God's presence with us. He died on that cross. And all of us, one day or another, have to face death. We have to face the fact that we are mortal, we will die, and we don't have an answer to that. And God has come into our place, borne that death on the cross, was buried in the tomb, but he prevailed even over death itself. And God means that we should know that we should be sure about that he is the mighty God. He's the God who has come to meet us in our deepest need, to deal with the root problem, maybe the wrong in our lives, and has dealt with death itself and has broken death's hold upon us. He is the mighty God, and he is now risen from the dead. He's alive at work in the world. You and I can know him and enjoy his presence with us day by day in our lives. And there is not a problem that you're going to face today, tomorrow, next week, or whenever. There's not a problem you're going to face that he is not able to deal with. He can handle death itself. He can deal with your problems. And the cross is a reminder of that. He's gone to our biggest extremity, and he's beaten that, broken that. That's reason number 3. Reason number 4 is simply it's a reminder of God's call to us and call on our lives as to how we are to live our lives. The Bible is very clear. It has a very simple, short word called sin, S-I-N, and it describes that the very essence of the wrong way in which we live our lives is that it is me-centered. I am what it is all about. That's what the essence of sin is, a self-centered, self-indulgent, self-seeking, self-advancing way of living. And that's just not the way life is lived. And what the Lord does on the cross is he reminds us that the way in which we live our lives is not that of self-indulgence, it's self-denial. We score out that letter I and say, it's no longer about me, it's not going to be what I want, what I need, what I think. It's a different way of living, a life that is lived in love. And so the cross is a reminder of God's way of living life that has at its heart this self-denial, living for others in the power of God or the presence of God, for others in love. And the reason why we use the cross as our logo, the 5th reason, is simply it's a reminder of God's rule over us. We're familiar with putting a cross where you have to choose. Who's going to govern you? Who's going to govern you and be ruler over your life? And the cross is a reminder that all of us are faced by that choice. This is who we meet in the Lord Jesus. He is God himself, a God who loves us, a God who has come to meet us in our deepest need, a God who is risen from the dead, alive, someone that we may know and enjoy in our lives today, and who's able in his power to deal with all the problems that we have, and who calls us to live in this new way of life, and he is the King. And you and I are called to recognize that and to kind of put our X on that box and say, yeah, you got my vote. I'm with you, and I'm glad to own you as my King. One of the striking things about the narrative of the death of Jesus, as he hangs on that cross, there are 2 criminals, one on either side of him. And one of them is just sneering at him and casting abuse at him and shouting at him and swearing at him. And the other one, starting off like that, comes to recognize there's something different about this guy, Jesus. And he comes and says, Jesus, remember me when you come in your kingly power. Recognize that Jesus is the King. He says, I need you, Jesus. I need you to help me. And when you come in your kingly power, when you remember me. And Jesus says, today, despite your past, despite your baggage, today, you will be with me in paradise. And there's that choice. Which side are you on? And that's always the choice. A reminder when we see that cross that God calls us to acknowledge his kingship and his rule over our lives. So there's a kind of brief history of why we use the cross as a logo and why actually it's not such a lousy logo after all. It is a reminder to us of the love of God, the gift of God, the presence of God, the call of God, and the rule of God in our lives. May he bless you through every time you see that cross and be reminded of those great truths. Let me pray. Living God, thank you for the gift of your Son, Jesus. Thank you for what you have down there in history done in coming into our world, meeting us in our deepest needs, and providing for us a way that gives us a future, that gives us a transformed present as we learn to live out our lives, no longer in our own strength, no longer for our own glory or satisfaction, but for your own glory and for the benefit and enrichment of others. We need your help, Lord. There are a whole load of problems that many of us have. We scratch our heads and wonder how on earth we're going to sort these problems out. Thank you that in Jesus, you give to us one who is mightier than the biggest problems we ever have. And we ask, please, help us and remember us day by day as we seek then to follow you, to honor you, and to love you. Bless us then in all that the rest of today holds, the rest of the week holds, and may we know your presence with us for your own name's sake. Amen. Good. Well, enjoy the rest of your lunch, and one or two rolls there. There's tea and coffee and all the goodies there too. Yeah, queue in an orderly fashion. Those who haven't had a roll yet, please, front of the queue, get you a roll, and if there's any left after that,